STL Golfer fans, welcome back to another STL Golfer video where today guys we're going to be doing some C# coding, and today what I thought would be really fun was going to make a Skype spammer. Basically, if you really don't know what Skype is, it's this basically. It's just you can talk to people much easier. It's really great, but you know, some people can make you angry on it, and so today I'm going to show you how to fight back with them with basically sending them over and over a ton of messages, and it really jacks them up because it really screws up their little notification bar. So all you're really gonna need is this video, obviously, and you're gonna need a program called Microsoft Visual Studio. It is free. Go online, download it. I'll put a link in the description, and that's all you pretty much need, I think. Oh, and you also need these C# tools, but I'll show you that in a second. You have your IDE open. All you're gonna do is you're gonna go here. Oh, by the way, this is Microsoft Visual Studio 2015, by the way, update 2. Alright, so we're going to go to New Project. So once you're in here, you want to make sure you have this Visual C# tab here. And if you don't, you're going to want to go back to that installer and go through the process and actually make sure you have Visual C# installed. Now, once you're here, you're going to want to go to the Windows Forms application. And basically what this is, we'll just read this here, a project for creating an application with a Windows Forms user interface. So I'm just going to go here. And I'm just, what am I going to call this? I'm just going to call this Skype Spammer Tutorial. And I'm going to hit OK. So you're going to have this form right here. And the first thing we could do, I guess, is rename this. Okay, actually, the first thing I'm going to point out, basically, if you don't know what C# is, it's a coding language developed by Microsoft, which is why all of this works together. And basically, you should have something that looks like this. So basically what we're going to do here, you have the toolbox. You can drag stuff onto here and such, which makes things a lot easy. And then you actually have the properties of these controls. They're called. These are called controls. Button, that's called a control, and these are its properties. And this is simply the Solution Explorer for the actual project. So, yeah, so let's see here. What can we change? So this is the properties for the actual form itself. And we're just going to name the text property here. This is going to say form 1. Now, there's a difference here, actually. Text and name are two different things. If you've worked with JavaScript or something like that, its name is also its ID, its identification. So you don't want to change the form name because you'll jack with everything in its class, but you want to go down to text and make sure you edit this. So I'm going to call this Skype Spammer. And let's see here. We can also show the icon, but you can also choose not to have. I'm going to choose not to because I don't want to make. I have an icon that I could use, but I don't want to do this. So the next thing we actually have to do here is actually import the DLL for the actual what is it? The actual extension / API for the Skype. And the way we do this is we go down to references, and you'll see all these other ones. These are very important. Don't get rid of them. We're going to go right click on this. We're going to say add reference. It's going to pull up all of these. And you're probably going to show up in assemblies. You're going to want to go down to com. And in the search bar, you're going to do Skype. Oh, no. Okay, I'm going to go back to that. You're going to go to Skype. And you're going to pull this one up, Skype for Com 1.0 type library. You're going to want to check this. If you don't have this, you probably don't have Skype installed, or you need to go online and actually probably download this. Maybe, I don't really know. But you're most likely, if you don't have this, you did something wrong in your Skype installation or something. But I have this, so I'm just going to go check. I'm going to hit OK. Okay. Now you'll notice this is actually added into our references. This is good. I'm going to collapse that. Now, we actually don't have any, not this. Now, as of now, we don't actually have any code up here. So what we need to actually do to show our code for this form is we need to right click and hit view code. I'm just going to delete this. It always does that and it drives me nuts. Alright, so a few things to mention here. Let's just kind of go over the structure of this basically. So you have all of these using things, and basically what that means is that they're kind of like plugins, you could think of them like that. The actual namespace is what the program is going to start from, so you could technically add your own namespace, right? I could say namespace swage, and yeah, so then I could actually go back into this properties and start from here. But since everything's been pre-configured to run off of this for this form, we want, see that right here, this partial class, we want to have that. Alright, so under this you have the actual class, and that's basically where all the stuff happens. Um, you know, global variables are stored and stuff like that. If you guys don't know some of my terminology, go back and watch my coding stream, my first one, and you might pick up on some of this lingo. Anyway, and then you actually have the public form right here. And basically, this is where everything happens inside of the actual form itself. Well, sort of. We'll kind of cover that later. And then this initialize components, basically that's where all of your components initialize, and you can't really do a whole lot before this line of code. And another thing to mention about C# is that this actually runs line by line. So if this doesn't run, I can't actually access any of the form's properties. Like for instance here, I want to add a button here, right? And I go here, and I want to say I want to change button 1, I want to change its text property, and I want to set this to hello, right? See, I can do this because it's already initialized our components. See, but if I do this, if I try to do this before this, oh, my bad. Okay, well apparently you can do it before it, but not what I meant. But I mean like out here, you can't. I can't even access the button itself. I can get the button class, but that's about it. So you want to keep all your control stuff in this public form one. Okay, so to actually start with the video, the first thing we need to do is actually import. So all because we have this reference here, it does not mean it's actually imported into our project. So we need to type using Skype for com lib, and this will actually import, quote unquote, this library here. So now what we need to do, so basically you can also kind of think of this here as like an initialization process kind of thing. Alright, so let's actually do some setup for our Skype. Setup for our Skype. Setup for our Skype. So the first thing we need to do actually is, how should I do this for you guys? Should I make this easy? Yeah, I'm gonna make this easy. So the first thing we need to do is make a Skype class / variable kind of thing. So we have Skype. Now, this is actually not defined as anything, so we can't use this, and I'll try to explain this as best as I can. Basically, the Skype, you can kind of think of as a variable, except really not. But so okay, so I can't actually set this equal to anything because it's not before this initialized component stuff and whatnot. Also, I don't think classes support that. So what we need to do, actually, I'm going to put this underscore here to show that it's a global variable, meaning that it's outside of this public form, and it's actually in our class. So, in fact, I might even be able to do static. Yeah, I can. But anyway, alright. So, now that we have this Skype object, we can call this, I can say Skype, and I need to attach its protocol. This, you don't really have to have this, but I don't really need to explain this because you don't really necessarily need to have it. But anyway, so now that we've actually attached our protocol and this and that, we're all good to go there. Let's actually start making our form. So the first thing I'm going to do really is I want to change this back color into a nicer color because I don't like. And the nice thing about Visual Studio is that this makes it so much easier. Like, look, boom, I can already change that color so much very easily. Actually, I hate that color. Let me do let me do like a nice. Yeah, no, I don't like that either. Let me do like a yellow maybe. Oh God, it looks like pea. No, no. Why are these colors? Oh my goodness. Alright, you know what? Oh, that looks fine. There you go. That looks the Skype. Okay, so let's actually do this now. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say this label. I'm going to take this label. My God, my throat. I'm going to say label. And basically all this does is, well, just kind of sets a little, you can think of it as a text box. I'm going to set its text, not its name. And I'm going to say username. Well, I guess just to say target, right? So we have our target, and we're going to store all this information into variables eventually, but I need to first get the information from the user. So, let's do this. Yes, this looks good. Actually, should I do this the way, yeah, I'll make this easier on you guys. Makes this a little cooler. Alright, so we're actually going to do combo box, and basically you guys are probably familiar with this. It's a little drop down. You have multiple options, and we're actually going to grab all of all of your Skype friends, and yeah, and then it'll be a little easier to select from that. Also, and the first thing I'm going to do to this, and I'm going to set this to sorted, only because it makes actually once we get the targets, it'll be a little easier to manipulate them and find them. Actually find them, yeah. Okay, so then we need to get a message. Obviously, what do you want to send them, right? So I need a text box and a label. We're going to get a label here. And we set the text to message. Go like this. Wonderful. So then I will make and now I'm going to put what's called a, oh shoot, what is it? Progress bar. And this is going to show like how fast it's going to be shooting off. So this will actually look really cool once it's finished, and I'll show you why. And I'm just going to kind of minimize this. And to make this a little more user-friendly, since we actually haven't set anchors, I'm actually going to lock this form's, like, what do you call, size. So let me see here. I need to go to size. Shoot. Let me see here. Oh, we could change the cursor if you want. That's kind of neat. You know what? Let's make it look ultra hacker. Let's just make a nice cross. No, that's kind of sacrilegious. Let me change that. Let's see here. Let's do hand. I always liked the hand. I don't know why. I think it looks very nice. Okay. So, yes. Alright. So we have our, I don't even know why I just did that. Okay, so we need to do size, though. We need to lock down the size. Ah, here we go, size. I'm going to expand this. Yes, this is what I need. So we go size. And basically, we're going to make it so you can't expand, you can't actually change its dimensions and such. So I'm just going to set that like that. So let me see here. I want to set the maximum that I can be set to and the minimum to be set to. And this basically locks this. I can't move this now, which is good. Alright, so now we actually need the button that says send. Alright. And let me see here. This is just kind of like a structure, and we're going to add a lot more onto this, by the way. Wait, no. I'm sorry, I meant to put spam. Okay. So we're going to double click. Oh, by the way. Double clicking this will add a button click event. And you can already see it's already made this. So when I click on this, it's going to fire an event. And this is where I want to draw your attention to here. Because, like I said, this is just the form itself. So we can add other methods in here that can do other things and then actually call them from other places. And the more you code this, it'll make a little more sense. But for now, double clicking adds a button click event, event args e. Don't worry about this stuff. This is, we don't really need this for now. But so yeah, so we actually need to set some global variables here. So first thing we need to do is get a string variable. Basically, this is a variable is like where you store information, and string basically means it's a string of characters. So we want to say string target. We want to do string. Oh shoot, what is it? String message. These are all set to nothing. So now what we want to do here. So we want to say if. So this is probably the most easiest thing to understand here. I don't even know if I need to explain this. So if these parameters, so if the message, or actually, I'm sorry, the name, so the message here, this is called textbox1, so we want to get this as an object. So if textbox1 dot its text property is not equal to a null string. So basically what this is going to do for us is if he clicks this and there's nothing here, well, what Skype's going to try to do is going to send it to nothing, and it's basically going to just crash. So we want to make sure that if this is not, it'll do our thing, and if it isn't, then we're going to warn the user to actually put something in. So if it isn't, we're going to say inside of these curly brackets here, we're going to do this. So we want to set the target equal to the text box one.text, and that's going to set this message. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is fine. This is kind of out of order now that I think about it, but so we actually want to set this as the message. Okay. And if else, well, we just want to alert the user by using a message box, and we're going to show that, and we're going to say, shoot, caps lock. We're going to say, please put in a message, right? And we're just going to say, warning, right? And I'm going to keep going here. I'll explain this in just a second here. Okay, so what I basically just did is I'm calling a method here. I'm going to say message box class. So there's and these independent plugins, I guess we'll call them. They're these classes here. And I'm going to, inside of this class, there's going to be a method, which is one of these things here, you know, the public form / this here. So when I'm going to call one of these things, and in this, I'm going to pass it some information. I'm going to say, it's going to say, please put in a message as its actual title. The title of the box is going to be called warning. Yep, right here. The message box buttons is going to be .ok, and I could change these actually to yes, no. You guys have probably seen this already. And then the icon is going to be the warning. And then what it's going to do is it's going to show that. And this is very helpful because it helps clean up code very nice. And this is where object-oriented code makes things much easier. Okay. So we're doing well here. So also what we need to do here is we want to say if combo box 1, which is the name of our target that we selected, if that .text is not equal to this, then we want to set the target equal to combo box 1.text property. And if else, I'm just going to copy this line here. If else, I want to say, not please put in a message, no, I want to say please put in a target. Okay, and that'll be good. Okay, so then, what else do I want to do here? So let's see, we'll worry about this progress bar here in a second. What we actually need to do is actually grab the targets here. And the way we're going to do this is when this initializes, we're going to say, we're going to initialize, so we're going to grab the names of our friends from Skype. Now, this is actually fairly easy to do. What you need to do is use what's called a for each loop. And a loop is basically something that runs over and over again, and there's different types of loops here. So there's the while loop, and actually I'm not going to go over this because this isn't really that all important. What we need is the for each loop. And let's see, if we write code snippet for, yeah, okay. So for each loop, this is actually kind of weird, and this is actually kind of advanced, so I'm going to try to explain this. But anyway, so for each user, we're going to define a variable kind of thing. For each user in Skype, no, in our Skype dot friends, right? We're going to say combo box 1 dot items. We're going to add the user to string. I'm going to explain this here in a second. Oh, wait a minute, I messed this up, didn't I? Handle to string. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so this is what this is doing here. So for each user in our Skype.friend, in our friends list, right, it's going to add to the items, which is basically one of these things. It's going to add the user right here. It's going to add its handle, and it's going to add it to and it's going to convert that to a string. And basically that should grab that. So let's actually run this by hitting start. And see where that goes. Usually the first build takes a long time, but it'll eventually smooth out. Let's see here. Oh no. Oh, what happened there? Oh boy. Alright, so right here automatically it's going to try to add... What? Oh, it threw an exception. Oh, through an exception. Okay. We're going to comment this out, guys. Forget this. So what this is actually going to try to do is it's going to ask Skype for permission to run this. What is happening? Oh my goodness. Shoot. This to string. Because this is already a string, so that works. Okay, let's try to run this again here. Oh my goodness. Okay, object reference not set. Oh, my bad, you guys. I'm so sorry. I forgot to do this. Remember how I said the Skype object wasn't actually set to anything? Well, this is what we need to do. We actually need to set it to something. So I'm just going to say Skype, new Skype object. And now, this should run. Yes. Okay, so it's going to ask you for access. I'm going to say allow, and it runs, guys. Look at that. So let's see if it actually grabs. Yeah, and it did. So it grabbed our names, which is perfect, and you can see we have our hand, which is beautiful. I always like this hand. Alright, so I'm just going to have to blank these out, but it is working. Yeah, and see it says please put in a target, and it says please put in a message, because these are both null. And see the thing does not crash, which is good. And actually, yeah. Okay, so now we have everything running here. This is good, this is good. So now we actually need to do the spam function. This is actually fairly easy to do. So what we're going to do here is we're going to set a global variable. I'm going to call it spam count tracker. And int is basically a whole number like this, 0, 1, 2, 3, and then you have what's called float variables, which are like 0.25, this and that, you know. Alright, so anyway, so let's go here. The first thing we want to do, if we want to keep running this over and over again, is we have to set this count tracker every time to 0 every time I click this spam button. So that way it knows to run its sequence again. Okay, so we're going to do, this is the most, I hate this. This loop is helpful, but it takes quite a while to understand. We're going to use what's called the for loop. And with the for loop, actually, I'm sorry, what we need to do here, I think we got to do. We got to do another thing. We're going to plug in this using system.threading, and this is what is going to allow us to run this thread without basically freezing up the app. And what we're going to do here is we're going to say, we're going to make a new thread. It's going to say thread spam thread. And basically then we're going to initialize. The spam thread is going to be equal to a new thread, and I want to add, shoot, and then we're going to add a new thread start. I'm going to explain this all in a second, guys. And then we're going to say spam thread start. Okay. So basically what I just did, you guys, I'm using the system.threading, which allows us to use multi-threading, which doesn't, if I were to run a loop on this, it would freeze. This whole thing would freeze. So I'm going to run this on a separate thread to run this. And the way I do this is I'm going to say, I'm going to make a thread object called spam thread. This spam thread is going to be equal to a new thread, and it's going to say a new thread start. So it's going to run this, and just saying it's an error right now. That's because we've made a method for this to run on. And then it's going to say start this spam thread. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to go down here, and you can see this. We want to go outside this public form. And once we do this, we're going to say public. Actually, let's set this to private. Private void spam. Right? So we created a method here. I can call this anytime I want. If we can see here, I can call this. And it'll do whatever I need in here. But see, the nice thing about this is basically it acts as a function. So I can just have this block of code here, and I can run it whenever I want. And it basically makes it so much easier to interpret. But anyway. So we have this here. So we actually need to add this in. And you're going to see here, it's actually asking us, does not contain a constructor that takes 0 arguments. It's because we actually haven't even added our thing here. So we want to say spam is going to be our target, right? And there we go. It works. So what we need to do in this spam thread, we've initialized our spam count tracker. Now what we're going to do, you guys, is we're going to say the Skype, actually, I'm sorry, for loop. So I'm basically what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna say I'm gonna initialize a variable. This you can Google this and figure out what this really means, but basically it's a sequence that you have to type in to oh wait, you know, I could do it from here. Basically it's a bunch of lines of code that initialize a loop, and I'm just gonna put this like this. So actually we can get rid of this right here. Alright, so in this for loop we then need to increment this every time this runs, and then, oh wait, this is wrong, isn't it? Yep, it is. So right now, this is basically, you can tell it how many times you want to run this. So as long as this is less than or equal to, we'll say we're going to spam 20 times, right? I forgot I can't use this. Okay. Less than 20. What's this? Oh, whoops, I'm sorry. Let's be like this. By the way, guys, in coding, a semicolon means end of line of code, just saying, for most languages. I hate that. Why can't I use that? Okay. Less than 20, right? And every time we run this loop, we want to increment this. Oh, shoot. We want to increment this, right? And then in this loop, this is what we want to do. In this loop, what do we want to do? We want to say, we're going to say Skype. We're going to want to send a message. You can send voice, but this is really cool. The Skype API is pretty awesome. But anyway, I want to say send message. And you can say it wants a username and a text. And this is beautiful because now, since it's already pulled that information, we can just do the target, right? And we already have this information stored in our variables. So there we go. And then I basically want to say thread, this thread that I'm currently on, and I want to sleep it for approximately 250 milliseconds. So that way it won't jam up too badly. Okay, we want to get rid of this. Here we want to copy that. Alright, so now at the end of so we've established our variables here when we click this button, and we want to start our spam thread. So let's give this a shot, shall we? Let's hit that start button. Beautiful, guys. Okay, so we have our targets. I'm going to set this to my buddy here. I'm going to say spam. Actually, I'm going to set it to my other guy here. I want to say spam. I'm going to hit that spam button. And if we go here, you can see here that it is spamming. Clearly this works well, but now I want to do something with this this wonderful progress bar. So I can see every time that this fires. And the way I do this is the first thing I do is I want to set my progress bar 1. It's value in terms of percent. We want to set it to 0 initially. And as soon as this shoots, we're going to set this progress bar 1 value to 100%. And so now, it should actually actually, we'll really jack up my friend here. Let's see here. Doing video. And so now if I hit spam, we can, god dang it. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I forgot to do something. So you can see that it threw an exception or an error, and it says cross-threading is not permitted. Well, you know, I hate that. So I'm just actually just going to completely bypass it by doing progress bar class dot check for illegal cross-thread calls. I'm going to set that to false. I hate that. It's just a stupid thing that they have there. Now we run this. I set this to my buddy here. I say sorry about spam. And now we hit spam. And you can see that this shoots very fast. It doesn't even have time to get us to its 100%. And there we go. It says it's finished. And so guys, that is pretty much it. You could totally add this to things. This is very crude, I guess you could say. Actually, there's one thing I forgot to add here. Okay. So what if we can't send this? Like what if this doesn't work? Well, let's try. Let's see if I don't have a target and I try to say spam. Please put in a target. It crashes, and this is because it throws an argument exception. This is what we need to fix. So to fix this, we're gonna say to the program, we're gonna say try to do this, right? We're gonna say try to send this message, and basically if you can't, if you can't do this because of this reason, we'll put a little variable assignment to it. If you can't do this for this reason, we're gonna say message box dot show. We're gonna say basically error space ex to string error. Okay, so what I just did here, it's gonna take this exception. It's gonna basically put a little variable to it. I'm gonna say error and then ex to string. And then if this happens, I'm just gonna try to abort this thread by doing thread dot current thread abort. This should hopefully abort this thing here. Alright, so we're gonna say start. Alright, so I'm gonna say spam. Please put in a target, okay. And it tells me what exactly happened. And it doesn't crash, but it still works, which is good. So, perfect. It works, guys. And then you can totally add stuff to this. Basically, this is complete. And if you really want to actually make this into a .exe, all you'd have to do here is you'd go to these properties, double-click properties. You'd go to publish. I'm going to show you how to do this, because this is actually... You can use this for all C# applications, by the way. I'm not going to tell you my full location for how to do this. You're going to say application available online only. You're going to say prerequisites. You're going to uncheck this. Whoops. Yes, you're going to uncheck this. You're going to say options. You're going to say deployment. You're going to say uncheck the .deploy file extension. And then, once you've set your destination, you simply hit publish now, and it will actually export this into a .exe. And then you'll get two other files here. Just delete those, and you'll have your Skype spammer complete. So guys, that's about it for today. If you want me to do more C# videos, please let me know in the comments. Leave me a like, and make sure you subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Thank you very much. Bye.